What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today I wanted to hone in on the new weapon progression system in Modern Warfare 4 because it turns out it's not nearly as scary as it initially looks when looking at the number of weapon levels you have to grind through. This was a big concern for many in the community when we were seeing some early behind the scenes stuff for the game, and people were noticing that for many of the weapons, we're looking at somewhere around 60 to 70 weapon levels per gun. And that brings back some flashbacks to some older Call of Duty games where it just felt like the grind to get a gun from level 1 to the maximum level was just insane. And obviously the number of levels itself doesn't really mean much if you don't know how fast you're going to be progressing through those levels, but still, the idea of that many weapon levels was scary. However, it turns out they're using a brand new style of weapon progression in this game that honestly just makes that concern a non-issue, in my opinion at least. And I wanted to go over exactly how this works for those that haven't picked up on this yet. I know for many of you guys, you would have heard this elsewhere or you would have figured it out for yourself, but I know for many, they have no idea this exists. So let's dive into this. The key thing with this weapon progression system is for many of the attachments that you'll unlock for a gun, they're actually going to be shared between a bunch of different weapons. And this means if I unlock a particular suppressor, for instance, on one gun by leveling that gun up, for every other gun in the game that uses that exact same suppressor with the same name, it will immediately unlock it for all of those guns as well. And interestingly, this works even across different weapon categories. At least for certain types of attachments, it really does seem to depend, but especially with optics and lasers, I've noticed. You can unlock those while using an SMG, for instance, and then when you go over to use an LMG, those attachments will be unlocked for your LMG. And once you do that, that means that when you're leveling up that LMG, you completely skip over that level because you've already unlocked that attachment. So it just skips ahead to the next attachment that you haven't unlocked yet. And that means as you continue leveling up more and more weapons, you're going to be skipping more and more levels. And it's going to get to a point where you're just flying through weapon levels on everything because you're going to have so many weapon level skips. So an example of this for me at the time of recording this video, I haven't really been using my PPSH a ton, so I'm only at level 13 here. And in game, it states I'm at level 13 out of 54. However, if I go into the PPSH and tab over to the progression path, you can see there are a bunch of attachments that are green and not locked even past level 13. And those are attachments that I've unlocked by leveling up other guns. So as I'm progressing through with the PPSH now, I get to completely skip over those levels where I have that green attachment unlocked. So on the surface, it looks like I've got 41 more levels to go because I'm level 13 out of 54. But in reality right now with the PPSH, I actually only have 20 more levels to go and I'm going to have the gun maxed out because I've already unlocked 21 of those attachments between level 13 and 54. For a bit of a different example to really highlight this, I haven't touched the Type 73 yet. In the lobbies I've been getting, LMGs just don't seem really viable at all. I have no interest in touching them. So I'm literally at level 1 on my Type 73 with apparently 57 levels to go. But it turns out I've already unlocked 25 of this gun's attachments, and I can use those attachments right away at level 1, by the way. And what this means is since I've already unlocked through 25 of those levels, I actually only have 32 levels to progress through with the Type 73 to get it maxed out. And 32 total levels from level 1 to maximum does not feel intimidating at all. So this is why at this point I have zero concerns about weapon progression being way too long in this game, and I don't think it's going to be all that crazy at all. Now, of course, when you first boot up the game and everything is level 1, sure, the first few guns that you start leveling up, those ones may take a little while, but that progression rate just ramps up exponentially as you continue leveling through guns. Now, I figured this is a good time to just throw in the fact that for these guns, there are always going to be some attachments that are unique to just that gun, and therefore you can't unlock them elsewhere. So even if you've maxed out literally all of the guns aside from one, you're still going to have to level up some attachments that are unique to that weapon. And it's not like you're literally going to hit max level by leveling it up once. But either way, this system at least drastically cuts down the number of weapon levels you will need in a situation like that. And when it comes to my overall thoughts on this system, I think it's a really interesting idea. It's nice to see something new, something unique here. It also allows for them to include a ton of different individual attachments with a unique name and look to it, even if it's basically falling in the same archetype. Like you could have a heavy suppressor, for instance, that in something like Black Ops 7 would just be called the heavy suppressor, and it's the heavy suppressor for every gun. But in this game, it could be 3 different suppressor attachments with different names and different looks, but they all do the same thing. They all fall into that same archetype. But then out of those 3, they can be shared across all of the weapons in the game. And so it's cool that it opens up that opportunity for them to do that without having to go too overboard on having to level literally every single gun up from like level 1 to level 70. And on top of that, I like the idea of your weapon progression rates getting faster and faster as you're going through your weapons. And by the time you get to some of your last weapons, presumably you're not a big fan of those last weapons because you haven't been using them at all. And so for those guns that you were saving for last with your grind, not only are you going to have a bunch of attachments already unlocked from level 1 on those guns to choose from when you start grinding it, which will make using those guns that you're not a fan of that much easier right from level 1, but also you're not going to have that many levels to go from level 1 to maximum level. So it's going to be a lot easier to go through those guns that you maybe don't want to be grinding through for a super long time. So in those ways, I really like this system. The problem here, though, is I don't feel like this is displayed or communicated nearly as well as it should be in-game. In fact, as I said at the beginning, I'm sure for many of you watching this video, you've been playing through the beta up until this point, and this will be the first time you've heard about this system, and you may not have noticed this at all, despite the fact that you've been playing the game and grinding through things. So I think that's a sign that things aren't being communicated in-game appropriately. And then on top of that, even if you are aware that the system exists, I don't feel it properly displays the different paths to earning a particular attachment, so then you can find out what the most efficient path is to get that attachment. And that in itself would create a little bit of a meta game, and it would get you actually interacting with this progression system more and potentially using more variety in the process. So some feedback that I have for this system and something I hope they can make some adjustments to for launch is, first off, when looking at an attachment, if you're in the gunsmith, or if maybe you're just scrolling through the progression screen for a gun and you're looking at the attachments there, I think there should be a way to view all compatible weapons with that particular attachment, and ideally on top of that, I think it should show you the level it's unlocked for each of those guns. And that would make it so if I want a particular, let's just say underbarrel for an M4, but it's a super late unlock on the M4, it's one of the last things you unlock for that gun, but I really want to use it right now on my M4, I should be able to check all of the other weapons that utilize that underbarrel attachment, as well as the level that you unlock it for those weapons. So then perhaps I could see that I unlock that underbarrel on a much earlier level on the Cast-Off 7.62, so then I can jump over to the Cast-Off 7.62, level it up just a little bit to get that underbarrel, and then I can jump back to my M4 and I've got that underbarrel that I really wanted unlocked and ready to use as I continue my grind. I think that would make things a lot more interesting and also make it so players are actually interacting with this system in interesting ways that are actually guiding their gameplay decisions and what they want to grind first, rather than just kind of mindlessly grinding through the system and unlocking things as they come. It would be nice to sort of set those goals for yourself and try to find the most efficient path to get the specific attachments you want. And I think that could actually encourage some more weapon variety while going through that process as well. So that's the first bit of feedback here. I'd love to see something like that. Like at the very least, it would be nice to be able to see a list of all of the guns that can use that particular attachment. However, on top of this, it would also be nice to see them better communicate how many actual weapon levels you have to go to reach the maximum level by considering all of the attachment skips that you're going to have as you go through the process. So going back to my PPSH example, right now, as I said, I'm at 13 out of 54, but in reality, I'm at level 13 plus 21 level skips out of 54. And so by showing me I'm at level 13 out of 54, it doesn't accurately show how close I am to reaching the max level for that gun. So instead of just showing 13 out of 54 with that, it could maybe show 13 out of 54 plus 21 skips, or 13 plus 21 skips out of 54, something like that. Like it does need to show you your real level, so that'll show you where you're at as far as unlocking your attachments for that gun. But I think those skips should be integrated in there somewhere, somehow, so you can see your real progress. Doing so would not only shed a lot more light on this system for the people that are playing through the game and have no idea this system exists, that would at least give them an indication that things are not nearly as intimidating as they may have thought. And on top of that, it just gives you a much more real indicator of how much you have left to go when grinding through a gun. If they could do both of those things that I just asked for, I think this weapon progression system would be awesome and very well implemented as well. In its current state, I like the idea behind it, I just don't like the communication surrounding it, or lack thereof. Now, of course, these are just my thoughts and opinions on this weapon progression system, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about it in those comments down below. Do you like the idea of having these attachments that are unlocked universally, and the fact that you're going to be going faster and faster and faster through weapon progression as you continue progressing through guns? Or maybe not. Would you prefer if this was just the more simple, basic version where each gun has their set of attachments and their clear progression from level 1 to their maximum level, and those attachments are only unlocked for that particular gun? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.